Raise your hand if you saw this coming. Be honest now, because on Monday, the New Mexico Supreme Court ruled that gas stations have a duty to refuse to sell fuel to drunk drivers. And if they do, and if that driver hurts someone, they could be liable. And that is where we begin with the Line Opinion panel. Joining us from Santa Fe, where she is the editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican, Inez Russell Gomez is back. Good to see you here this week. Diane Snyder is back. She's one of our regulars. She's a former state senator, and UNM law professor and line regular Serge Martinez returns as well. All right, we'll start with you, Serge. Does this feel like a dramatic expansion of liability, or is this the natural evolution of the law, as our lawyer friends like to say sometimes?
I was really surprised by it. So for what that's worth, I think it was, I was not aware that anybody saw this coming or thought that, oh yeah, this is a natural effect of what the court has been doing or the state's public policy around DWIs. So I think the reason it came up was because the 10th Circuit, the federal circuit court, asked this court, the New Mexico Supreme Court, to answer the question. They didn't go out of their way to do this, but once it was in front of them, they made a decision that, to me anyway, was also surprising.
Inez, it wasn't a unanimous decision. Retired Justice Barbara Vigil heard the case before her career was over. She just left, and she says, this is a bridge too far, she said, and could theoretically put at risk places like auto parts stores, tire retailers, anyone who provides something to a suspected drunk driver. She has a point, does she not?
She has a point, but I think probably she's exaggerating slightly, because if you read the decision, what it's saying is that this was a case where they're looking at an atypical set of facts. So I don't think that someone that drunk is going to go into stores to buy gas and that they will be able to then sue for the store being liable. So what I think is that in most cases, this isn't going to be applicable because gas is self-service. So the clerk is going to have no way of knowing whether his customer is drunk or not drunk. So even if you tried to sue the gas station, it would get thrown out. This, to me, just gives you the opportunity to sue if someone walks in drunk, pays, and then, totters out to get their gas. So I don't think it could be that far-reaching. And the idea is if someone like totally drunk goes to an auto parts store to get a battery and can barely carry the battery out and you let them drive off, you are in a sense aiding, a potential fatality or injury.
Let me push back on you just a little bit there, Inez, because again, it doesn't take that much in our state to be legally drunk. In appearance-wise, you can appear to be quite sober at .08 and still blow over the limit. I mean, again, I have to ask, if this is a situation where an untrained person has to look at someone and make an assessment inside 10 seconds, isn't that just, again, asking for a problem here?
Well, it says in the case, it says the vendor knows or has reason to know.
Okay.
So someone at .08, who drinks a lot and doesn't look drunk, you wouldn't have any reason to know. I think this is for the case where the person's carrying a bucket to put his gas in and sloshing it on the way out and can't count his pennies when he's paying you. So at that point, you should say, wow, something might be wrong.
Yeah. Senator, the case came from the death of a Navajo man who was struck and killed by a drunken driver back in 2011. His brother filed a wrongful death lawsuit. It was actually the federal court of appeals that asked the Supreme Court to weigh in. Now, in that case, the driver ran out of gas, walked to a station, filled up, then went back to buy more gas. So that's twice he bought gas while drunk. Does that seem like it should have been noticed by the gas station? I know it's hard. It's easy for us to kind of, judge these things, but I have to ask again, same questions I put to Inez. How does one really know what makes up a drunk person by sight?
I don't think that you can always know. It reminds me, one of the questions I had is, how are you going to train all the clerks to recognize, and which we do have in the restaurant industry, liquor recognition and training programs, but they're seeing customers regularly. Right. Well, you might not see a drunk customer at a gas station once in 2 years or something. So I don't know how they're going. And I went through that training back because we were having events and stuff. years ago, and you just can't always tell. So I think there's a problem. The main thing that I have a little bit of problem with is, to me, it sounds like the Supreme Court is writing law for New Mexico, which is a legislative prerogative, not the Supreme Court's. And I understand that the Fed sent it down to them, but they could have said, their ruling could have easily been, this is something that needs to be addressed by our legislature, which would have given time for public input, time for the industry to be a part of it in the discussion. And do we want to go that far? All of the things we're talking about could have been discussed in a legislative hearing. Then, once the legislature made a determination and made it law, regardless of which way they went, that wouldn't end the opportunity to have a lawsuit and eventually have the New Mexico Supreme Court look at it. But I just, my very first response, other than how are they going to tell, was they don't really have the right, because if you read the ruling, what it said is, well, based on this law over here, we're thinking this. Well, if you're basing it on that law over there, then you have admitted that it is a law that you need to be able to define your opinion. And I believe that Justice Vigil actually made that point in her dissent. So I just think we're kind of getting that old cliche, the cart before the horse here. And I don't feel like the Supreme Court had to make this ruling the way they did. I think they easily could have given it back and legitimately given it back to the legislature to determine what kind of law we wanted to have. Then they could hear.
That's a key point.
The incident.
I appreciate that. That's a very key point. Serge, let me ask you this. I'm still back on this logic of, who's drunk where and who can tell and all that kind of thing. The driver, let me go back to something, in that case we were talking about before, the driver was out of gas, clearly drunk, couldn't have driven otherwise, but what about a drunk driver who isn't out of gas? How do you determine whether the gas is sold if the gas used, if that driver then goes out and hits someone? You know what I'm saying here? If a day later he can't tell you where he got the damn gas, I mean, who's liable here? It's interesting that way.
I absolutely agree with that, right? This is a very special set of facts where we know that the gas that was sold to this person by this place was what made it so he could drive off and kill this other person.
Right.
People who show up at the gas station, they already have gas. They're just topping off, right? And they go off. We don't know if it was the gas that they bought that was the final straw or not. I think there's, in this particular case, it's a lot easier to tell, but there's some logical challenges to that sort of approach of just how much the purchasing of the gas was contributory to what happened.
Right. Inez, do you want to add to that? I mean, I hear your point earlier, and I do want to have a chance to defend your point there. Is that, as you're hearing the folks talk about this come around, are you still in that same position you were earlier, as you spoke about it?
I just think it gives an opportunity in extreme cases for people to win damages. So I don't think this is going to apply in every case of drunk driving where you're going to search back and get their credit card receipts to see where the gas is from.
Right.
But I agree with Diane that, obviously the legislature should write the law. So whether the decision had to be written this way is a great point to discuss. But now the legislature can come back and decide how it wants to deal with this now that the court has put it out there. So that's another response that could happen.
I should remind the folks at home, there's only one other state in the country that does this. It's Tennessee. It's very interesting how this happens. Senator, might there be unintended consequences? Let's say this happens in a small town. The gas station's put out of business by a successful lawsuit, as Inez just described it. This isn't just a place to buy gas in some of those places. As you know, it's a grocery store, the only pizza joint in town. Is that a concern, or is it taken a hypothetical maybe just a little too far?
No, I don't think so, because I think too often we, and they'll certainly tell you this, legislators from the rural areas, is too often we base decisions on Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Farmington, or Las Cruces instead of the rural areas, and don't. If somebody brings it to our attention, then we listen.
Right.
But we don't automatically think of the little places that just have one little gas station. And the thing about it is then you get into the clerk, well, two things. One is the clerk might know the person
Right.
in a small
Good
town,
point. Good point.
and it's a little more reluctant to bring that to someone's attention. And the second thing is what if, and this is another hypothetical, is what if the person buying the gas goes in, has only had a couple beers, then buys his gas, gets back, and so he isn't drunk or doesn't look drunk. He gets back in the car, hoists a few more as he's driving along, and then hits someone. Does it place that clerk and the store in any liability?
Yep.
Because how can you prove how drunk he was? Because there's no test to tell. I mean, no test has been done at that point
That's right.
as how drunk he was at the gasoline place.
Strong
So-
stuff, Senator. Good stuff there. We'll see how this all plays out. The plaintiffs in the case expect the 10th Circuit that Serge mentioned, Court of Appeals, to send it back to federal court in New Mexico. Don't forget that now. Now, we're back in a few minutes to talk ethics at the Attorney General's office.